They go by many names: 4-star, perfect, hundo, and we're all searching for these Pokemon. But how much do they matter? How much better are they actually? Here's a hint. It's probably not as important as you think. It's probably been 5 years since I've really gone deep on this and lots of other subjects in Pokemon Go, so here's the updated 2022 version of the guide to hidden stats and IVs in Pokemon Go. Before I can explain IVs, I have to explain stats and levels. In Pokemon Go, every Pokemon has a hidden level, and the only visual indicators of a Pokemon's level are the position of the dot on its CP bar and the Stardust cost to power it up. As you power up a Pokemon, you're increasing its level, and you can see that Stardust cost increase and the dot will move. Each power-up is worth half a level, and you can figure out approximately what level your Pokemon is by consulting this Stardust chart, which is also linked in the description. Your Pokemon's level is limited to your current trainer level plus 10, so you can't max a Pokemon to level 50 until you reach level 40. Okay, that's level. Now let's talk about stats. In Pokemon Go, every Pokemon has 3 stats: attack, defense, and HP. Attack determines how much damage a Pokemon deals, defense determines how much damage a Pokemon receives, and HP determines, well, HP, that one we can see. These stats are increased every time you power up a Pokemon, but their actual values, aside from HP, are hidden. When you appraise a Pokemon, you can see its IVs for each stat, but the actual stat values are never shown. Now, each Pokemon has base stats that are referenced as you power up that Pokemon and it levels up. So as an example, let's take a look at 2 Pokemon, Mewtwo and Mew. Mewtwo's base stats are 300 attack, 182 defense, and 214 HP. And Mew's base stats are 210 attack, 210 defense, and 225 HP. These are a Pokemon's base stats. They don't ever change, and they're the same for every Pokemon of a certain species. So every Mewtwo will have these base stats regardless of its IVs. If we compare the 2 Pokemon, Mewtwo will deal more damage than Mew if they use the same attack. Mewtwo will receive more damage than Mew if they get hit by the same attack, and Mew will have more HP than Mewtwo. These base stats are used to calculate a Pokemon's actual stats with a really complicated formula, but all you really need to know is that actual stats are basically just a percentage of base stats that increases as you increase the Pokemon's level. You'll never actually see these stats in-game, but they're represented by CP. The CP formula is also very complicated, and you really don't need to know it. But basically, it combines the 3 stats into a single number that's supposed to represent the Pokemon's overall power. The only important thing to know here is that attack is weighted more heavily in the formula, so 1 point of attack will actually add more to your CP than 1 point of defense or HP will. And this will be important when we talk about PvP IVs later. With all that explained, we can finally move on to IVs. IV stands for individual value, and they're basically just modifiers that get added to a Pokemon's base stats. They're randomly generated, and they serve to make each Pokemon individual, hence the name, so that 2 Pokemon of the same species can actually have slightly different stats. When you appraise a Pokemon, you get to see a graph of its IVs for each stat. Each segment of the bar represents 5 points, so this is what a 0 IV looks like, and this is what a 15 IV looks like. In Pokemon Go, IVs are added to base stats before actual stats are calculated. So going back to our example of Mewtwo with base stats of 300 attack, 182 defense, and 214 HP, if it has perfect IVs, we add 15 to each stat before applying the actual stat modifier. So if we add up the base stats for a 0% IV Mewtwo and a 4-star or a 100% IV Mewtwo, we end up with 696 versus 741 for the stat total. And the difference between a Hundo Mewtwo's base stats and a 0% IV Mewtwo's base stats is only 6.4%. As far as individual stats go, your Mewtwo can have between 300 and 315 base attack, accounting for IVs, and that works out to just a 4.8% difference in the end. What that means is a Mewtwo with a 15 attack IV will only deal 4.8% more damage than a Mewtwo with a 0 attack IV. Now, if we look at defense, Mewtwo can have between 182 and 197 base defense, and that means that a 0 defense IV Mewtwo will take 8.2% more damage than a 15 defense IV Mewtwo. With lower base stats, the IVs make a slightly bigger difference, but ultimately what that means is with your most powerful Pokemon, the ones that you're powering up and using in raids, the IVs actually matter less. Now, the difference between a 15 IV and a 10 or 13 or 14 IV is going to be even smaller. So ultimately, if you don't have a hundo, you're really not missing out on much other than the flex. And that's why I don't mind powering up Pokemon with less than perfect IVs. All right, now let's talk about PvP IVs. In Ultra and Great League, you have a maximum CP cap, and since 1 point of attack adds more to your CP than 1 point of defense or HP, you generally want as little attack as possible. By having lower attack IVs, you can actually have a higher stat total at the same CP. Just as an example, an Azumarill with 1500 IVs will have actual stats of 101 attack, 121 defense, and 179 HP for a total of 401 at 1500 CP. Compared to a 0-15-15 Azumarill, it has 91 attack, 136 defense, and 196 HP for a total of 423. So you end up with a higher stat total by having a lower attack IV. It's awkward and confusing, and I'm convinced that 6 years ago someone at Niantic just arbitrarily decided that attack should be worth more in the CP formula, and by the time PvP came out, it was just too late to do anything about it. As I was editing, I realized there are a couple more things that I can add to help expand your knowledge on IVs even more. Starting with this tip: the way that you catch a Pokemon can affect its IVs. When you catch a Pokemon in the wild, its IVs are totally random. They can be anywhere from 0 to 15, unless the Pokemon is weather boosted. If a Pokemon is weather boosted, the IV floor moves up to 4, so its IVs can be between 4 and 15. If you encounter a Pokemon from a raid, from a research task, or you hatch it from an egg, the IV floor is 10, so the Pokemon's IVs can be between 10 and 15, and that's why Pokemon that you hatch or catch from raids or research generally have better IVs than wild Pokemon. You probably already know that when you trade a Pokemon with a friend, the IVs are re-rolled, but your friendship level with the other person that you're trading with determines the IV floor. If you're good friends, the IV floor is 1. If you're great friends, it's 2. If you're ultra friends, it's 3. If you're best friends, it's 5. And if you're doing a lucky trade, the IV floor is 12. So when it comes to Shadow Pokemon, regardless of their IVs, Shadow Pokemon get a 20% increase to their attack and a 20% decrease to their defense. And that 20% increase to attack is obviously much bigger of a difference than IVs could ever make. And that's the reason that we generally recommend not purifying Shadow Pokemon ever. When you purify a Shadow Pokemon, it does get +2 to all of its IVs. So if you have like a 13-13-13 Shadow Pokemon and you purify it, it will become a hundo, but the difference that those 2 points of IVs make is far, far outweighed by that 20% increase that it gets from being a Shadow Pokemon. So there you have it, everything you need to know about Pokemon Go IVs in 2022. 4-star Pokemon are definitely a fun flex, but they're really not all that much stronger than a 3-star or even less. So hopefully that relieves a little bit of stress when it comes to deciding which Pokemon to power up. Now, if you like this video and you want more number crunching, check out this video where I explain shiny rates in Pokemon Go and go over just how rare shiny Pokemon actually are. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.